But as the only Trump voter here, I don't agree with anything any of you are saying. And the important thing is a new Q poll that came out on April 15th this week that shows the president still has the support of 88% of the Republican Party. Same poll at the end of the Biden term had him at 71%. Trump is immensely popular with the Republican base, despite all of the things you might say. None of you are Trump voters, and that's fine. Yep. But don't speak for Trump voters. We don't agree with what you're saying.
There's a whole lot of hand-wringing happening in MAGA world right now, as Donald Trump's poll ratings and approval numbers continue to plummet. We are even seeing some hardcore MAGA types who appear to be expressing serious buyer's remorse. We're going to take a look at a panel from Abby Phillips' show, featuring far-right MAGA stooge Joe Borelli having a full meltdown, Never Trumper SE Cupp going completely off on Trumpers. And I have some thoughts to share on this one as well. Let's get into it.
It's no secret many in MAGA aren't too thrilled with Donald Trump for some portions of the things he's been doing now, from the Epstein files to the economy and now the war. They say he promised to never start. Many of the loudest people who helped get him elected are starting to say they have buyer's remorse. Our friend SE had this to say to many of them after the president's threat to wipe out a civilization.
You and your buyer's remorse. Who would listen to you now? Who would listen to you? You got us here. You voted for him. You told everyone they have to vote for him, right? It's going to be World War III if you don't vote for him. Give me a break. No one cares what you have to say anymore. We told you so.
But some, particularly on the Democratic side of the aisle, are opening their arms.
The thing that has been very fascinating, especially about Marjorie and Candace, is that they are not just coming out like the other ones that you'd mentioned, where they're saying this action is wrong, right? They're saying, I am done with you.
Yeah, it's like a values based. Like,
right.
This guy is bad, not like this policy is bad.
Right. And I think that we should give them credit for that.
The message cannot be, I told you so. The message has to be, welcome aboard. What else can we do together?
SE, you are by no means a MAGA defector. You were never in
early and often to never Trump.
Early and often. You screamed no. No to what?
I have been out in these streets too long, Sarah.
In these streets?
I have been out in these streets since 2015, opposing this un-American, anti-democratic, fascistic garbage. And while at the same time, these people that they're mentioning, the Marjorie Taylor Greenes, that name them, the long list, have been defending it for fun, for money, for clicks, for fame. Not all converts are created equal. And we should not, it's not just for Democrats to decide, it's for Never Trumpers who are conservative as well, to decide we should not be aligning with people who are losers, liars, and grifters, who have only come to see the light because either it's politically expedient or it's profitable or whatever. Now, I say to voters who have lost their appetite for Trump, absolutely. Congratulations. I'm sorry he disappointed you. I know exactly how he did, by promising you things he's completely ignored. I get you. Come on over. The water's warm. But for the professional liars, losers, and grifters, no, we don't want you. And just because you've come to where we have been for 10 years doesn't mean you get to use us to launder your reputations. Not happening on my watch. And I don't like this conversation where it's like, well, shouldn't we give them credit? No credit. It's in the 11th hour. It's the 11th hour of this. He is a lame duck. He is gone in 2 years.
Guys.
What took you so long? I'm sorry. Somebody stop me or I will just...
How do you really feel?
I agree with SE Cupp on what she is saying here. In terms of, you simply cannot put out a lifeboat to Tucker Carlson and Meghan Kelly and these types. They're just reading the tea leaves and seeing that this MAGA movement is ending. And they want to be positioned for whatever comes next. But Democrats should not be inviting these people into the party. The grifting pundits and the voters, this has been the Democrats' problem for far too long. This idea that some mythical Republican out there is going to come around and support them, rather than focusing on appealing to their actual base, their actual voters who already support them. These MAGA people are not going to vote for Democrats. And these pundits, even the SE Cupp types, the Never Trumpers, you bring them into the Democratic Party and they're not going to say, oh, okay, I agree. We need Medicare for all, stop spending money on foreign wars, all of that. No, they're going to push to make the Democratic Party more conservative. And that is a mistake on the part of Democrats, if they want to go after Republican voters and Republican pundits.
Yeah, exactly.
This is personal. I've gotten death threats. I have lived this life at the expense of profession, at the expense of friendships, at the expense of money. I've done it. It's been hard, but it's my conscience telling me to do it. You don't get to flip a switch and say, I don't like him anymore. Can I be with you guys? No.
Do you see who she's talking about, who are constantly out there and were very supportive, and now they turn on some things, not all things, but they turn on some things very differently than you see, for example, a Liz Cheney or someone in that camp who
fundamentally different.
Yeah.
Should
the Democrats open their arms to? I mean, Liz Cheney is very conservative.
No. What I think I see.
Democrats opened their arms to Liz Cheney, and that was a huge mistake. This is a very conservative person who just happened to not like Donald Trump. And I think that was mainly because Donald Trump didn't like her father. But this was a person who had been saying all kinds of horrible things about Democrats. And then Kamala Harris went and campaigned with her, which was a giant mistake. She was not going to deliver these mythical Republican voters out in the suburbs somewhere. Democrats need to be appealing to their base with progressive policies, not moving further and further to the right.
Is reacting to righteously is a deep frustration at the folks who enabled this.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden are trying to say, wash their hands.
Too much for me.
Who could have known that it would turn into this? Anybody. After January 6th, anybody could have known this if they chose to pay attention to what he'd said and what he'd done during the first term, particularly if they were self-described conservatives.
Joe,
Yes.
But hold on, but
he's not done.
But a successful pro-democracy movement. Look at what just happened in Hungary. Look at the study of successful pro-democracy movements. They've got to be positive, patriotic, and inclusive. Positive, patriotic, and inclusive. So it's good to castigate the corruption and the rising costs and the cronyism and the chaos and cruelty, all of that. But you got to welcome people in and set a big tent message. Mm-hmm. And so there shouldn't be purity tests in a pro-democracy movement.
For voters. Marjorie Taylor Greene, like 5 minutes ago, was still saying that the insurrectionists were patriots.
Right.
Are patriots. These are people who would still vote for Trump if they were in his favor. I'm sorry. We need to be skeptical of the folks who are claiming us in their name. I'm not talking about voters. You're right.
I come at this from a foreign policy perspective. I've, 10 years of following Trump. Everyone thinks they know what his foreign policy doctrine is, right? Oh, he campaigned against intervention. He's going to be tough on China. Now he's going to make a deal with China. No more wars, no more globalism. And sooner or later, everyone figures out that Donald Trump has no core foreign policy principles whatsoever. And they change all the time based on whoever he talked to last. Maybe he has a financial interest. Maybe his kids have a financial interest. Maybe he just gets talked into it by another foreign leader. And so, of course, if you stake your sort of foreign policy identity on no more wars, and we're not going to do Middle East interventions, we're not going to send young American men and women to fight and die in a far-off place for unclear reasons, unclear justifications. Well, the Iran war is the opposite of all of that. So he's forced all of these people who claimed that they were for Trump's foreign policy to either pick between their own integrity or following him to the exact opposite foreign policy. And some of them are going to follow him, and some of them are going to maintain whatever semblance of foreign policy integrity they have left. And they're both bad choices because they're both based on this premise that Donald Trump actually has a view of the world and America's role in it that isn't liable to change tomorrow. And guess what? It's going to change tomorrow again.
Joe, what do you make of what you're hearing from the Meghan Kellys and the Tucker Carlsons and Benny Johnsons?
I think SE's right. I think these are people who are grifters. They're going for clicks, payments, or their own aggrandizement, and they flip because it's politically expedient for them or profitable for them, and that's fine. But as the only Trump voter here, I don't agree with anything any of you are saying. And the important thing is a new Q poll that came out on April 15th this week that shows the president still has the support of 88% of the Republican Party. Same poll at the end of the Biden term had him at 71%. Trump is immensely popular with the Republican base, despite all of the things you might say. None of you are Trump voters, and that's fine. Yep. But don't speak for Trump voters. We don't agree with what you're saying.
So this is what really worries me, that the Democrats are going to listen to what these panelists were saying. Joe Borelli is a lost cause. He is Trump till the end. But SE Cupp and the others on that panel saying, oh, we have to be a big tent, be inclusive and everything, I do not agree with that at all. I saw a post on social media this week from a guy I grew up with, who is by far the biggest Trump supporter I know personally in real life. Someone I actually know. I see him at the gym and we talk about sports or whatever, but we basically do not talk about politics anymore. This guy worships Donald Trump like a god. Or at least he did. He posted a video the other day that was critical of Trump, calling him out about selling off national lands. These are finally things that are hitting close to home for him. He was perfectly fine with other people suffering, but now Trump's policies are affecting this guy that I know personally, and now he is upset. But he is not going to vote for a Democrat. He is not going to vote for Gavin Newsom or AOC or whoever the Democrats put forward next. He will happily fall right back in line to vote for JD Vance or Tucker Carlson or whoever the next Republican happens to be. Democrats are not going to win this guy's vote. And we have got 30-some% of this country that Democrats are simply not going to win over. Sure, they might be souring on Donald Trump. They might be souring on him right now. But they're going to happily vote for the next Republican that comes along. They will not vote for Democrats. So Democrats cannot fall into this trap again of saying, oh, let's reach out to Republicans. Let's reach out to the never-Trumpers. No, if the never-Trumpers want to come out and say, yeah, we were wrong about everything, not just Donald Trump. We were wrong about giant defense budgets. We were wrong about tax cuts for the rich. We were wrong about Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. If they want to come over and say, yeah, we need to strengthen Medicare, strengthen Medicaid, raise taxes at the top, stop sending money to Israel, great, welcome them in. But they're not going to do that. They're going to try to pull the Democratic Party further to the right. So SE Cupp and all of these other conservatives, these right-wingers, let them fix their own party. Let them make the Republican Party hopefully more sane, or go start a third party, a third conservative party, if that is what they want. But there is no place for them in today's Democratic Party, a party that should be moving more progressive, not more conservative. Let me know what you think about all of this. Again, I do agree with the grifting aspect that SE Cupp is highlighting here. Tucker Carlson and Meghan Kelly and the rest. They're just trying to build a career after MAGA, after Trump. They can see it as all falling apart, and they're going to pivot to whatever comes next, because that is what grifters do. But do not let these people into the Democratic Party. So where do you stand? Are you on the side of SE Cupp? Or are you on the side of Joe Borelli? Let me know in the comments what you think. And make sure to give me a like and subscribe.